What's good, good people? Welcome to hashtag My Be More Project. What's the 410? Where we stand in the gap of the news you can use and the positive stories our spirits need. I'm your host, Dion Joyner Weems. It's like a tribe called Quest. You have to say it all together. And though I may wear many hats, they all sit on top of the same mission to uplift, amplify, and empower truth tellers and change makers. Whether that's through hashtag my Be More project, my book That Part, What Some Know But Won't Tell You About Motherhood, or as the CEO of Audacity Group, a global marketing shop, we tell bold stories. And in 2022, we sat down and did a listening session and found out what you and I already know. People trust people more than they do a system. That's why we create a space where we can talk to the people on the ground doing the work, like celebrity makeup artist Ngozi Olandu Young. Let's bring her up.
Hi. How are you, Dion?
Well, I told you I'm nervous because it's you. It's
You're so
you.
silly.
Okay.
You're so funny.
All right. So this is the part where I get to give you your verbal flowers. All right. So I'm just going to do a little background for you. You ready? Ngozi Olandu Young is a Baltimore-born visionary. She graduated from Western High School and Morgan State University with a career that spans over 20 years. Gozi is a light, a storyteller, and a quiet force behind the scenes. As a department head in makeup for film and television, she helped shape iconic stories like The Color Purple, Wonder Woman, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and coming out this August, Spike Lee's From Highest to Lowest. But beyond the credits, Gozi is a mother, a mentor, and a vessel for character, culture, and care. Her brush doesn't just enhance faces, she honors history, holds space, and sometimes helps people see themselves for the very first time. Through every stroke, she tells a story the script can't always hold. Gozi, how are you?
Dang, I'm feeling good. I ain't never had nobody read read like that.
Well, and I want I'll get into the question parts, but um Gazi, before we jump into the questions, we do this little segment. It helps to loosen us up and gives viewers a taste of the personality behind the professional. It's called They Ate. Okay. We will ask you
Day
eight,
8.
They Ate. We will ask you eight rapid fire questions. And Miss Virgo, you cannot overthink it. Just answer the damn question. Okay.
It's not even over. I think it's more the resistance, but I'm not gonna resist. Okay.
Crab cake, fried or broiled?
Neither.
Oh my God.
I don't eat seafood. What you want next?
This is why I love this segment. All right. Nickname your parents used to call you.
Ngozi.
Ooh, I love the accent. Name one song on your Get Pumped, Amped, Fired Up playlist. What are you putting on when you need to?
Mm. You're gonna think I'm crazy because I'd rather not play music when I'm working out or getting pumped up. I just go.
This is
Virgo.
the
I
most
know.
interesting They Ate. Let me keep going. What's in your makeup kit that people might not expect, but you would never leave home without it?
Hmm. That's a good question. What is in my makeup kit that people may not expect, but I won't leave home without it? Ooh, 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 ooh. Um, I mean, people might expect this. I always have dental stuff like toothbrush, toothpaste, picks, all that,
That's
for my clients. I always have to have that just in case.
that's actually a really good tip. Thank you. Um, who would play you in a movie about your life?
Who would play me in a movie about my life? Hmm. Rapid fire. I can't think of nobody. Let me see.
I'll go with Gazi. She
my
can do
dad.
it all,
My
people.
dad gonna sound right.
If you could only have one, which would you choose? Chef, maid, or driver?
I would say probably a maid. Although I love it, I love a driver, but I would say a maid.
A maid. Okay. What was your first paid job?
What was my first paid job? I was working at a church cleaning windows. Me and my best friend at the time, Tiffany Johnson, we were cleaning the church windows, making like, I don't know, $20 a
That,
week or something crazy at 11 years old or 12 years old.
that is interesting. Okay. Last question. If you had 25 hours in a day, what would you do with that extra hour?
Sleep. Easy.
And there we have you ate. Let me just tell you, and Gozi, this is the most creative they ate ever. So thank you very much. Um, I was trying to figure out how to start this, and I'm just going to be honest, right? I was having a conversation with my son, and I told him that I was going to be interviewing Gozi, and I started naming all of the movies. And I'm pulling up the IMDb. I'm like, she did the makeup for In Color Purple, Shirley Chisholm, Watchmen, The Wire, and he's like, how old is she?
Dang.
And it gave me perspective because when you think about the span of your career, and Lord, you have over, as far as TV and film, over 40, 50 plus, that is extensive. Like, do you ever sit back and reflect on how much you've done to date?
It's so funny you say this. I was just with my husband, and I can't remember who exactly we were talking to, but we were just reminiscing, like, wow, just how time flies and how the kids are growing. And I was just saying, I really used to look forward to getting older because I was, and not for the aesthetic kind of thing, I know people dread it, but I was like, if you really think about it and you look back at your life, at everything that God has done, and you're like, wow, like, said, I remember when I first started in this business and I had 4 or 5 credits in my IMDb, and I'm like, dang, I can't wait until I get, in the teens. And now it's like to, quadruple or what have you, however many times that. It is truly a blessing, and it took a lot of patience. And I'll tell you this, if I know there was a point in my career where I was like, I'm going to stop checking. I'm going to stop looking. And, because, you want to have goals and you want to have,
Mhm.
all these things. They're like, okay, I'm doing this. I'm like, I'm just going to put my head down and focus on the work. And I'm telling you, when I did that, things just came so much faster to me and for me. Like, I mean, I'm just so grateful because Lord knows I couldn't plan this. This was not a plan for me. Well, it was a plan, but I didn't plan to, fully go and, have a career in makeup like this. I never knew it existed. So.
Gazi, it's if you can take us back. I know I put down Baltimore, but to talk about your heritage, Nigerian,
Yes.
Baltimore,
Yep.
Western, Morgan, and head makeup artist for celebrities and Hollywood artists. How do you what were those milestones? What were those points? What do you take from your background that shapes how you have moved in the life that you have?
I would have to say the number one thing that I take from my background is my faith, through my family. My mom and dad were so, I don't want to say they were religious or brought us up religious, but they made sure that we had a relationship with God. Although, we would go at it because I'm very philosophical and I would like challenge things. But just the fact that they set up that awareness
Yes.
was amazing. They came here with nothing. There was no full plan. It's just like, hey, we're just going to go to America, have a better life, have our kids live there, and help our family back home as well. And they really just put that faith within me to trust. When you can't even see it.
Yes.
Trust by faith and not by sight. So I would say that was definitely the thing. And to even go even further, that helped me when things that I may want or I may desire may not unfold right in front of me. there was always something inside of me that was like, hey, there's always a way. There's got to be a way. There's always, it's almost like a motor. Like,
Yes,
that's why I can't even get mad at my kids when they're like so pushy, and my kids are very strong-willed, and I'm like, Dad, that's me. You know what I mean? I'm like, I was always very small. You know, I was quiet, but I'm like, hey, don't mess with me. But
mhm.
I knew I had that motor that could go there as well. So I would definitely have to say my parents definitely instilled faith within me.
With hashtag my be more, it's grounded in a sense of pride of where we're from as we exist in the world. I'm curious, as you have moved in the world representing Baltimore, what impact, what type of conversations, how has being from Baltimore shaped how you interact?
I think that, every I work out of town probably 95% of the time on film and TV. That's because at the time when I first got into the business, Maryland had better tax incentives and I was able to work at home. But when the tax incentives went away, I had to continue to work, of course. So I would work in places like Atlanta, Georgia, and New York, New Jersey, Ohio, wherever I was needed. And I'll have to say, it is I'm very prideful being from here. Of course, people, say, "Oh, you did The Wire," and things like that. And that's great. I never shy from it. I know people like, "Oh, The Wire made us, look bad," and all this other stuff. And they were, every city has its stuff, right?
Mhm. Right,
You know what I
right,
mean? But I
yes,
know, yeah, there's so much good here, and there's so many other people who are also in film and TV who have made their mark as well in the business. So it's just great to be part of that community as well. Like there's so many amazing filmmakers, and they're like, oh yeah, Bradford Young. He live in Baltimore, and like so it is like it's great to be a part of something like that. So yeah, I would just say I'm very prideful of it. I definitely am, like, I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, and
do you know what my ear perked up when you were talking about tax and incentives? When you think about the world of makeup, I'm thinking about the face, I'm thinking about the products. But tax incentives, unionizing, these are parts of this industry I that I don't believe everyone is as aware of. How significant is it, especially as a Black woman, maneuvering in unionized Hollywood spaces and how is that?
it sounds a little crazy. Well, I haven't really worked in any other industry, but it's like, I feel like it's almost like how you maneuver, being an entrepreneur, or how you maneuver, being in another business space. It is, about relationships, of course. It is about being on top of your game, your craft, your profession.
Yes.
Um, it is, and being a Black woman, I, I mean, you can probably understand this. We go in very, very serious, in a way. Like I'm not coming in ha ha hen and chilling with everybody, and everyone's thinking I'm there to, be their best friend or joke, what have you. You know what I mean? I think it's more than just being a Black woman. It's just like I'm going to be taken seriously, and just because I'm Black, sometimes you may feel like there. At the time when I started, there weren't a lot of us, so I'm like, hey, I'm supposed to be here, and I'm going to show you I'm supposed to be here. And at the time, coming up under my mother-in-law, that was very important. My mother-in-law is also a makeup artist who got me really started in the film and television industry. I was already a makeup artist when I met her. And I always would go in like, you know what? I'm going to let these people know I'm not here just because, oh, I got the job because, my mother-in-law's in the business. I was like, no,
Um,
I am here, and I'm going to unfortunately work circles, not unfortunately, but to say this, but I'm going to work circles around everybody else that's in here because I'm going to show up a certain way because I'm representing my parents. I'm representing them leaving another country. So,
right.
like I said, it was bigger than just like, oh, it was just the complete package of I got my ancestors here with me. I'm bringing all these other,
Yeah,
things and people, with me,
yeah,
my kids with me. It
yeah.
is like whether I was doing that or whether I was working, you know, at a bike shop. I just would show up in a serious way. I mean, that would be it. And I know sometimes, you know, it may rub some people the wrong way. Like some actors be like, "Oh my gosh, girl, you're so serious. Lighten up, chill." Like in the beginning, I was like, "No, I'm here to win. I'm here to know. You know, I want you all
Yes,
to know,
yes, yes,
like
yes.
this is not a game. You know." So because we don't get these opportunities often, I was not trying to mess it up.
I received that.
I got my start working at a makeup counter in Nordstrom Towson. I was, I was, it was my freshman year in college. I was working at Nordstrom Rack, and you had to be 18 to work upstairs. So a good friend of mine was a year older than me, and I saw we were all in the rack together working as like cashiers.
Mhm.
And we ended up I ended up following in her footsteps. She's worked upstairs at the Mac counter, and she's like, "Look, you're going to be 18 soon. You should really try to come upstairs. It's so much more money." And at the time, we're about making $1. We're in
Yeah.
college, you know. Parents were like, "You need to get it, you know, get a job, get it together." So I had an interview at the perfume counter, and at the time my friend had told the managers in cosmetics, like, "Hey, you know, my friend, we were neighbors, we live 4 doors down from each other. My friend lives up the street from me. She's an artist, and she said has great personality. She's looking for a job. She just started to go to Morgan State University and blah blah blah." So I went in, and they're like, "Hey, you know, we heard so much about you." I'm like, "Yeah, I would love to do perfume." Like, how hard can perfumes be? Like, that's easy. and and they ended up saying to me, they're like, "Hey, there's a position open at this line called Prescriptives." And Prescriptives, they were known for making custom blended foundations. This is like the 90s, the late 90s. So I'm like, "Okay, Prescriptives, like, how hard could that be?" I knew nothing about makeup. I
Are you
actually
serious?
Nothing. I actually hated makeup because I had my makeup done for my prom, and the woman at the Mac counter, she was just mean because I didn't have the money at the time to buy, you know, a bunch of stuff. So I was just like, "Okay, I'll get my makeup done and I'll buy lipstick liner and you know what have you." It was like at the time a 40 something dollar purchase, and she was just trying to get me in and out so she can make her go and you know get to. But the way she did my makeup was awful, and I remembered I would never let anyone like treat me
Wow.
that way, or I wouldn't treat anyone else that way. But it was a great start being at the prescriptives counter because I was able to custom blend foundations and really get to know the customers and the clients. And one day in particular, and we had these crazy goals at Nordstrom, which is another reason why I took the job in cosmetics other than perfumes, because you can make more money because you made commission. So I'm
Oh,
like, "Oh, great, you know, like, yeah, this is
man.
awesome." So not only am I making my rate, I can make commission on top of that. So again, that motor, that's like, come on.
That's
And
smart, Ozzy.
listen, it was such a blessing because it taught me, you know, how to be like, okay, like let me get. It was almost like I ran my little small business at the counter,
Yeah,
although
yeah.
you know it was for
Entrepreneurship right
Nordstrom,
there.
but
Yeah.
I had my own book, my own clients. You know, it was that was like the start of me having relationships with people. So you know, outside of family and friends, of course. But my counter partner at the time, I was helping an older couple, and someone at the counter was like, "Hey, you know, I saw um, my mother-in-law now. I saw Debbie Young come up. I didn't know who she was at the time, of course. And she's like, 'Hey, you know, I need some help.' And I'm like, 'Oh, my friend here can help you, my counter partner.' And she's like, 'No, no, no, I'll wait for you.' The couple I was with, they were an elderly couple. I was with them for like 2.5 hours. They just bought one lipstick. And again, like I said about having goals and things like that,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm in school from 9 to 6 in the morning, and then I come to work, you know, sometimes 6:30 to 10:30. So I have like this amount of time to make my
The
goals.
money.
So
Yeah.
the fact that I, you know, was with these people for 2.5 hours, I was like, "Oh my God, they just bought a $10 lipstick." But I'm like, okay, I'm just trusting. So anyway, she keeps coming back as I'm helping this couple, and I'm like, "No, it's okay. You go ahead. Like someone else can really help." She's like, "No, I'm gonna wait for you." I'm like, "Oh Lord, I hope she's not crazy. Like, what's going on?"
Oh,
Yeah, she was so insistent on waiting for me. So
oh,
can I tell you, I that earlier that day as well. Sometimes when you're in retail, it's a lot. The monotony of okay, making a goal. Okay, you know, you're not able to spend time with your family. It's like the hustle and bustle of making the dollar in a way. But I was just like, "Ugh, there's got to be a better way. There's something else out here for me." She bought $2,000 worth of makeup from me. And I was like, what in the world? Like, what does this lady do? And I was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, I don't mean to be tacky, but what do you do? Who are you? And she was like, I'm actually a makeup artist like you. I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah. She's like, I do makeup for film and TV. When I tell you, it was like the gates of heaven opened up. It was a bright light. Yes. I was like, what in the ham and eggs? Where have I been? Like, I had no idea. And I'm like, and you live here in Baltimore? And she's like, yeah, at the time it was like Orioles players' wives that came in and spent that amount of money, real estate
I
folks,
understand.
like,
Yes.
it's Baltimore. So,
Yeah.
I had never even sniffed anything like that in my life.
That's amazing.
So that changed me. That's how I got my start. I kept a relationship with her. She would tell me to, hey, and this is very important for aspiring makeup artists or aspiring artists as well. If you meet someone who you view as like a mentor, it's not just about, hey, what they can do for you. Like, I was showing up again, that motor in me, that thing was like, hey, okay, you told me to get this book. I read it. This is what I learned from it. What's next? What's the next book? What is, where she would tell me speaking engagements, like, because I just knew, I never had in my head like, oh, I'm going to be just like her, but I knew that this was not by chance, by accident. I wasn't trying to mess up this blessing because I had literally prayed for a
Yes, ma'am.
breakthrough. And
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
like, I believe that this was the breakthrough. And it was like that. I mean, it was not organized. It was just by chance. She just came to the counter.
Well, guys,
No,
one of my phrases is there's no such thing as coincidences. There's only
absolutely.
God's confirmations.
Yep.
And that that is powerful just in it of itself. And the follow-up. It's doing what was suggested and coming
Yep.
back. It's the networking of it. That side of for you to actually have that at 18, 19. How old were you then as that relationship?
Yeah. Yeah. I was about, I believe I was 19 at that time. I had been at the counter for maybe a year or so. But yeah, I was 19. I was still, young and, going to school and just we didn't have the internet access that we have now. So when she
Correct.
was telling me to get certain things, certain books, like I was out going to the stores and libraries.
Yeah.
Like it was like
Yeah.
I was doing the footwork.
The footwork. So it's interesting because even just the initiative of you asking, who are you? That's with children, you want them, as I'm raising them, to have that sense of agency,
Yep.
to feel empowered to take that next step. For you to have that, and I take it comes back to home and what was instilled in you. That's powerful. Let me ask you this question. Your hands, this was my power. Your hands are tools you've used to bring people's stories to life, right? What's one moment when you truly felt the weight of that responsibility?
The weight of it. Ooh, I would say, oh, there's so many moments. I'm trying to think of just one. The thing that comes to mind is any time when there is I'll say this.
Mm.
I'm like so many different moments when there
And I'll take
is,
them all. Like this for someone who is looking at your life and they want to create a template, it's best to learn from lived experience.
it is. I would say this. Anytime that I'm asked to build a character that is something authentic, showing like all different layers, especially of, I feel like the weight is on me when I have to portray, especially Black women and, just their different layers. And I'm just like, the weight is on it because I want it to be done right, of
Yeah.
course. There's been so many times that it hasn't been, whether, it could go, a little too, I don't want to say dramatic, but
Mm.
it depends on whatever audience that is trying to be reached at the time. But I just know me, I want to be able to sit in the movie theater and be like, wow, like I really vibe with this woman, or you just want it to be authentic. So I would say those are definitely times when the weight is really on. And I know for when I did The Color Purple, doing Danielle Brooks's makeup for that, the scene when she is in the jail cell, and she had just been beaten by the police. I
Mm,
remember that weight, and I don't want to call it weight, but I would say the seriousness, even more seriousness, kicked in because the part of me that I'm like, okay, and Danielle knows this as well. She's another awesome Virgo, but but like I knew I was very empathetic towards her because I knew she had to get into a certain space.
mm.
So not just the application of the makeup, but just me making sure, like, not to say an advocate for her, but just more of like, hey, like, let's be mindful, just really trying to make a great space for her. So all she had to do was focus on her acting. And at the same time, portraying that, yes, she got beaten up or bruised, but she still has some kind of beauty within her that still showed through. It was, really, we were really intentional about not making her look like distorted or deformed and things like that. So it was just like, hey, for you to see, yes, she had bruises and got beaten up, but at the same time, she's not like, oh, all out and what have you. So it was just like me really balancing, making sure her skin looked beautiful as it already, was, of course, but just really trying to, yes, have bruising and balance the fact that, hey, she's still going to shine. She's still going to be beautiful, although these horrible officers did this to her. So I would say that's one that kind of pops out in my head.
It's one with you just talking about bruises when you for someone to say makeup artist and they may stop at the Nordstrom's counter. But now you're talking about, prosthetics and you going deeper than just, the foundation. Like how diversity of skill, how important is that to this space?
Extremely important. But it all depends. It's like it depends what your goals are as an artist. Because some people are like, I've had colleagues who have called before, like, hey, I have this show that I'm doing, and there's blood, there's guts, there's bruising. They're like, oh no, no, that's not my thing. That's not my ministry. I'm sticking with beauty. Thanks for the call, but but I tell all of my mentees, I'm like, try to do it all. I want them to train and do special effects and bruising and things like that because I don't want them to, have a job come to them and they're like, oh no, I can't do that, or I don't want to do that. And I
Mhm.
get if it's not your passion, I'm not trying to push you to do anything. But if you really want to be able to be in this business and be long lasting, you should definitely diversify your skills with makeup.
Well, let me ask you, with one, thank you for that. Um, Again, back to learning from lived experience. Early in your career, were there any missteps that you encountered that you could share? That, of course, I know that you improved on, but early on, what can you share a few? Or
Yes, absolutely. I know when I first started, um, things were, it's so crazy when one story popped in my head. There was a company. I can't remember the name of the company. It's probably a good thing. But
yeah,
there was there was a company that was an agency, and they would do testing with makeup artists and photographers. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I want to do that during my downtime for film and TV because at the time tax incentives had kind of went away, and I was just like, oh, I'm gonna have a friend who was a fashion designer, had another friend who's who did costumes, had another friend who was a photographer and things like that. So we were all of color. We would all get together in like Drew Hill Park, take photo shoots. We're dressing people up in like gold suits and I'm painting them gold. Like we had all these great things. And I
yeah.
remember I submitted my work and one of the testing photographers called me back. He wasn't necessarily part of the agency, but he was testing with the agency. And he was so mean and so rude and just tried to make me feel like we weren't worthy because we were of color, like, your models and this and that. I mean, he like tore it up. And I was in a place where, oh my goodness, like, it just put that doubt in my head.
Yeah.
And from that being in my head early on in my career, when I would get called to do shoots out of the blue, I would turn it down. So that was a misstep. I'd be like, oh no, like it would be the anxiety of, oh no, what if I'm not enough, or what if,
Oh, man.
it was really, that's when the mindset thing kind of played tricks on me because of course, I knew no one else who had ever been in this industry. I didn't have an older sister. I
Mm,
had, yes, my mother-in-law, but
right,
when I told her what happened, she's looking at me like, girl, forget his raggedy tail, like
right,
just,
right,
but I'm just like, yeah, you my mother-in-law. Of course you're supposed to tell me that. Like,
right.
maybe I'm not. So I would say this, that was a misstep, that lie. I believe that lie, although it was for a moment. I just believe that lie of, oh no, maybe I'm not enough to be editor. Although he just saw a bunch of, black kids, being
Yes,
creative
yes.
and thought that it was a low bad thing, you know what I mean? Not lux enough or what have you, whatever the thing was.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was just, I would say that would be like a misstep that happened. Just, letting those horrible things happen. And again, I don't even think I was 20 years old at the time, but just, you have so many doubts when you're first starting.
Well, for you've talked about, and I love the fact that you mentor, turning the mirror around. What do you look for in a mentee?
Hmm. What do I look for in a
Because I'm
mentee?
sure it's the investment of time and energy, so you want to ensure that it's going to be utilized. So what is it that says, you know what? I will give of my time, of my insight to you.
You know what's crazy? And I'll be honest with you, the first thing that came in my head wasn't something that I look for, because I know, when someone's starting out, things are so different. I've had mentees who are just like, hey, I'm gonna be on set with you, and they're harassing me, they're doing whatever. Not to say I don't want that, but I'm like, oh, I appreciate the hunger, but they
Got
just don't know how it is or how it goes. They don't know I can't take them on union films yet, or but even if it's like, hey, if I have a mentee who I, have to say the same thing 5 or 6 times to them, I'm like,
mhm.
oh, I recognize, oh, they're just fearful. I just, so I don't think that I mean, of course, you would want someone who you feel like is receptive and, wants to learn more and is eager, but that doesn't, but even if they're not, if they're I've had plenty of mentees who are very lax and I love them up to death, and I still, refer them and bring them along. I mean, I just feel
Right,
like,
Gozi.
it's really not by chance that, me and certain people connect, even if it's just a quick, like, hey, hi, bye, nothing else comes out of it. Yes, I'll just say this: I meet them where they are. I'll say that.
That is that's powerful. Um, the way that you talk about the work that you do, the amount of traveling that you do, how long these hours are, uh, is there is there ever burnout? Is if so, how do you manage that?
Oh yeah, I was about to say a curse word. Yeah,
You you can?
I was about to be like, yeah. Um, and I would say when I had my last child, my third child, with no one, again, there was no map out of, hey, this is what you do. Even my mother-in-law, when she got into this business, her sons were older. So with me getting in this business before kids and still trying to, stay in the business during kids was very tough, and burnout really, really happened when my firstborn came. I completely, stopped doing makeup or filming TV for a long period of time, and I focused more on creative endeavors of, like, clothing design and, other things that I could do from there outside of makeup, because I still was an artist. So I just wanted to, have my different rivers work for
Mhm,
me
mhm,
for
yep.
income and purpose and such. But when my last child was born, that was, I would say, the hardest, because I had 2 kids at home. I got a call to work on Mayor of Easttown in Philadelphia, and I had just had my child 6 months ago who was premature. So I had to have a nanny be with me in Philadelphia, have my other nanny back at home in
Wow,
Baltimore for my other 2 kids, and I would
wow.
still drive home every weekend to see my 2 kids, because I didn't want them to feel like, I'm with the baby 24/7, although I'm not. It's really like, 8 to 12 hours a day, because I had to let my nanny sleep, so I would sleep with my baby. But when I'm at work, these hours, it's not a 9 to 5, it's a 9 to 9 or 9 to 12 sometimes. So it was very tough. And I remember thinking, like, am I crazy? Like, what am I doing here doing
But
this?
but Gazi, like, because I wanted you to define your role and responsibility as a makeup head, but you're already giving me the behind the scenes. Like, how do you, one, to coordinate all of these roles and to speak to a director to understand what their vision is and
Oh,
then rally the
listen. I wasn't even the department head. I was the key makeup artist, which is I had to at the depending on the job and depending on your department head depends on what position, what tasks you'll do in your position. So, being the key makeup artist at that time, I was hiring people. I was, executing looks, of course, on characters. But at the same time, this was the first time I had shot the way that they shot Mayor of Easttown. Usually, when it's episodic TV, you may shoot, one episode here, an episode here, like in order. We were shooting sometimes in one day, we would shoot episode 8, episode 1, and episode 3. And they would have flashbacks to go back in time
oh,
with certain periods. So I'm like, oh, well,
whoa,
this person was this age, so they didn't have this tattoo at this time. And this guy was this age, so he didn't have a beard yet. I mean, it was bonkers, okay, the way we had to shoot. So, and I had a newborn baby and 2 kids at home. So, I don't want to say the burnout was real, but it was just a lot going on. And I'm just so grateful that, uh, you know, doing things like that just makes me stronger as a person. It gets my, motor muscle going even more. So, at the time I was losing my stuff, but it was definitely grateful because now I'm able to do shows like that in my sleep.
Gozi, did you do House of Cards?
I was an additional makeup artist there. They hired their folks out of LA. So yeah, I did additional for House of Cards, and actually started doing House of Cards 3 months after I had my oldest son.
Gozi, you are a layered individual. I'm serious. Like, I'm looking at my things. I'm like, this woman has done so. Okay, I am really excited about one. I love Denzel Washington. Let me just put that out there. Okay, I'm just gonna be honest. I love Denzel Washington. I'm excited about this movie coming out. Spike Lee's movie, Highest to Lowest, starring Denzel Washington. Just a few: Denzel Washington, Jeffrey White, Wendell Pierce, ASAP Rocky. I don't know if he's still using the Rocky, but the ASAP Rocky. What are you most proud of from this production?
Hmm.
And what role did you play? Because I love the understanding how these roles, your roles and responsibilities work. What was your responsibility there, and what was significant or from working on this production?
I was the makeup department head for that film, and yeah, I mean that would be my proud moment to be a department head on something as big as that. That was definitely an answered prayer.
What does and when you say big, what does that look like? Can you take me through a day of Ghazi on set? Like, what would be expected of you?
Mm. Being a makeup department head, you are basically the lead of your department. So you are, making certain decisions. You are executing visions and plans and designing things, and you are basically like, I know I was speaking with someone from Black Script, and they said, "Are you like a project manager?" And I'm like, not really. You're literally like you are a leader. You are leading all of the makeup artists in your department. So it's like you have these conversations with directors, sometimes with producers, and you are basically organizing, executing looks that they may want, looks that you feel like coordinate with the script, and telling your people, how to move,
What
how
it
to
is.
roll. It is, yeah, you're the leader of the department, basically.
Go,
Shoot this
girl. Look,
woman.
Baltimore proud. So do you prefer a more hands-on director who has like this really, clear vision of what this is, or, someone who's like, I've got an idea, take it from there. Like,
Mm. I appreciate either one. I mean, that I've worked with some directors who are very hands on, who are like, hey, I like, and I, they're into it. You could tell, and it's great. And but at the same time, I do have some directors who are just like, hey, do what you do. It doesn't matter to me. But either way, I'm still thinking of how to execute and get the product out of the story. It's part of the storytelling process, no matter how small people might think makeup in hair is. It's actually a really huge, big deal, especially in period pieces as well. So yeah, I appreciate both. Or I'm sure there's a third personality in there with directors. You know what I mean? It's like you have so many different personalities and different ways that people work. It's all good.
Regina King, you were talking about the color purple. When you're meeting these people who you've seen, for regular folks, you've seen them on these silver screens, but now you're responsible for bringing this character to life. Do they already receive you as you have a job to do? You're not coming in fangirling. You're not in here taking photographs and posting it on the web. It's coming in with for someone who wants to come into this industry. What type of demeanor do you have to have in a space where you may not be used to interacting with people that you've seen and viewed them as bigger than life?
So for someone starting out, like a makeup artist just starting out, even some of my mentees, I always coach them and say, like, look, we about to be on set. This is who's going to be on the trailer. We're keeping it professional. We got work to do. We're not doing none of that fan-ish. Because that can take our actors out of their element. Yes, I know sometimes, they may love that, but I know if I am the department head, like, this is how we're keeping it professional. And I'll say this with, yeah, I'm trying to wrap my head around it because I've never been a fan, like, oh my God, I'm working on, probably because I started in the business so young.
Got it.
So I don't know, but I mean, of course, but there are times that, of course, there's nervousness and things that kick in, and you're like, hey, you're praying you do a great job, or but it is, I don't know. I just view them as people, and whether I'm trying to make sure I'm executing my vision on whomever, a no name person today, or whether it's the A-list celebrity tomorrow, it is still the same energy. I just want to do my best. So I don't know if that really answers.
No, it does. I'm wondering, going back to the role of the makeup head or any position where you've ever had to push back, where there was something where in your spirit you had a different way of doing that. Has that ever occurred? And if so, how do you handle that?
Um, hmm. I don't think there's ever been a time I felt the need to push back. But there's because
Or
I feel like it is, it's still my interpretation, my execution, of course. And I mean, there may be a time where I may have a concern. Like, I know there was a show that I did, and I came in as the third, and they had, filmed the seasons of the show. I wasn't able. This is before, again, the internet and all the access that we have now, going on YouTube for old shows. But I had came in after probably the third or fourth season, and they were going to be finishing out this last part of the season, and there was this woman who was, giving birth, and she's like, literally in labor. And the director's like, put more lip gloss on her. She needs more lip gloss. And I'm like, lip gloss while giving birth? But then in my head, I'm like, oh, you know what? That must be her character. She might be
got
this
it. Okay.
glossy, you know what I mean? So like I said, I
Got
may
you.
have the concern of it, but me being the third at the time, my makeup department head wasn't like, oh no, don't do that. I went in and I just added more lip gloss. You know what I mean?
Right,
So
right.
I would say something like that. But yeah, usually, and thank God, things have definitely been in flow.
When you talk about makeup, even how you approach a client, would you say natural, like the different styles of makeup, you can beat your face to death or have that natural? What is your preference and why?
Oh, girl, I love me some nice light beat. It's like in the middle. I always love to just show people's natural beauty, but enhanced, of course. Um, yeah, that would be. I never like to cover up a lot of stuff. Like, I love freckles to show through. I just love a light beat. Some people say there's no such thing as a light beat. A beat is a beat. But I feel like that's definitely what's kept me in business. Just trying to split the difference.
Keeping it. All right. I know that people are going to wonder, so I have to ask the question. Products, 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 products. Do you have favorites? Is there one that you're rocking with right now?
Trying to think. What am I loving right now? Um, I'm loving all things Danessa. Of course, we love some Danessa. The foundations, the eyeshadows, everything. I mean, she's literally your makeup artist's favorite makeup artist when it comes to products. She just makes things it just feels effortless and natural with how we the application, just how things blend, the skin tones. Like, she's got it covered. Definitely love me some Danessa. Um, as far as skincare, I'm loving this line called Eminence. They're Hungarian, organic. Love their stuff. Their eye creams, the mists, they're just amazing. I'm like, and what else? I think that's about it for makeup and skincare. That's
Oh,
enough I'm loving right
skincare.
now.
You some people like me would be embarrassed for you to see their makeup bag and
What
kit.
you
Like,
got? What you got in there?
I needed, I need to do better. I really need to do better. Just before we part, I want to go back to the spiritual. What are you manifesting now? What are you at this stage of your career? What's your vision forward?
Hmm. The good Lord and I are working on a few things. I would say, I'll say this: we are looking forward to, projects that haven't, come out yet, that we're going to be celebrating and, talking about soon. And we're also looking for, like, I don't want to say new things, so I don't want to sound like I'm, just constantly hopping on a new thing, but just definitely, just the possibilities are endless, so I'm just each day, each moment. It's not like I said, I've been the type to just not have a full
I
on
got you. You put
hey
the
about
head
this.
down and you do the work. I hear you. Question came. When you're thinking about Baltimore and the talent that comes out of this city, how would you describe the talent in Baltimore specifically?
Hmm. The talent just warms my heart. I'll say this. I mean, it sounds so weird and cliche, but like when I am in a room of, like, a 6 Point Picture fam and you know
Yes. Yeah.
other folks who I have come up in this business with, who like went to Towson University, and it just really makes my heart swell. I'm like so filled up, because it's like, wow, like I remember when I didn't have the access that they had, and they are blowing things out of the water, to see them, shooting Snickers commercials. And I'm just like, and people like Thea Washington, who, she's a Black casting director. It's like, what is that? It really gets me even emotional. Like, I start getting teary eyed, because it is amazing to see people who look like us who are in the business. So it just warms my heart. And even, those who don't, it's just like, we still, they still come from the same neighborhoods I came up in. And it's just to see, like, wow, like Baltimore, okay, because we're so creative. We really are. We're just trying to, and I try to do my part to keep that part alive as well. So, mentees and classes and all types of things. I am definitely those. But hey, going back to what you asked, that's what me and the good Lord are manifesting as well. So we're trying to get things together, as far as programs and classes and things like that this year. So
Oh my gosh. As soon as you have that information, please share that with us.
absolutely, absolutely,
Gazi, I love you.
love
We
you.
are proud of you. And I respect the fact that you're working as a collective. I've never felt a sense of selfishness from you. And when thinking about Baltimore and how dynamic our talent is, if people think in the collective, then we all get to rise. So I want to say thank you for having that in you.
No, listen, thank you. And just with you saying that, I do want to say last year I worked I got things together for Enoch Pratt
What
Library
library?
had an amazing program for the youth there. And for me to just teach makeup, I taught makeup there for 3 days. It was amazing. I was like, these young folks, I mean, I'm like, okay, do a scar, do this, make this person look, and they were just in it and loving it and did such a beautiful job. Like I just was like, oh my goodness, like Baltimore, like y'all better
We
be
come.
ready because
Yeah,
we got some people just getting all cooked up. So it is
right.
it's yeah it felt so good for me to be here and to be back home. Like I know things are a little slower in the film and TV industry and a lot of people are really having a hard time, but it is really refreshing and just gives so much hope to know that we got our babies is coming up.
I
I can't
love
wait to see
that.
what they create. So thank you, Dion, for shining light on Baltimore and all the beauty and wonderful things. We appreciate you so much. You're the heartbeat.
I love you.
Love you.
With that, that is hashtag my be more. We're thankful. Peace.
I just want you to be great. I just want you to be great. I just want you to be great. Even if it means you gotta leave me and you don't wanna be babe. Look, baby, I'm straight. I just want you to be great. I just want you to be great. I just want you to be great.